Terminus 2000 video game. Terminus is a spaceflight role-playing action video game by Vicarious Visions. It was released in 2000 from Microsoft Windows, Linux, and Apple Macintosh. Terminus won awards in the 1999 Independent Games Festival for technical excellence and innovation in audio. Plot. In story mode, the player chooses one of 4 careers: United Earth League, Military, Mars Consortium, Militia, Marauder, Pirate Clan, Mercenary, and follows Terminus' single-player storyline, set in the year 2197. In 2000, Terminus was unusual in an RPG in that the player's actions can affect the ending of the storyline. Failing a mission, for example, may lead to a different ending than would have occurred if the mission had succeeded. One unique feature of Terminus is the story would progress with or without the player. The player could begin the game in story mode, then go off and do something else, and the story mission/battles would still take place, reaching an outcome depending on which side eventually wins. In free mode, the player chooses a career and does the same as in story mode, except there will be no storyline missions. In gauntlet mode, the player outfits a ship with near infinite money at their disposal and faces several waves of attackers, with the object of staying alive for as long as possible. Development. Polygon explained that Vicarious Visions' first major game following the publishing debacle during college was the space combat RPG Terminus. President Karthik Bolla said, "We ended up getting a personal bank loan for $1 million. We knew if we didn't figure this out and make it work, we'd be screwed for the rest of our lives." The duo of developers had been left with a mountain of debt from development costs on Synergist due to the publishers not giving them royalties for the game, and began work on this project in 1996. Back in January 1998, the Vicarious Visions 7 full-time employees and squadron of contractors were labouring to complete the game, which at the time was to be the company's second release. At that point, the development budget for Terminus already crossed the $250,000 mark, with months more work to be done before an expected September 1998 release. Vicarious Visions President Karthik Bolla said at the time Terminus will include not only network and internet play, which is becoming almost stunted in games, but also the capability for players to communicate by voice. Bolla retrospectively said the Department of Defense had recently declassified an audio compression algorithm that we ended up using and writing voice over IP within our game at the time. We did some really cool stuff primarily because it hadn't been done. As a contest finalist at the first annual Independent Games Festival, the game ended up taking home 2 awards. Terminus was exhibited on the show floor at the Game Developers Conference, March 16 and 18 in San Jose, Calif. Polygon explained that despite winning some industry awards, publishers were reluctant to take on the project. When Vattenfall Entertainment finally shipped the game in 2000, it hardly sold. By 1999, the company employed 15 people, including 4 Rensselaer graduates and 2 undergrads. Terminus is notable for its implementation of Newtonian laws of motion, which means that objects are subject to inertia. Once accelerated, they float indefinitely in one direction unless again accelerated into a different direction. This makes doing quite complicated, but mirrors actual behavior in free space. Barry's World explains the game has a Newtonianized, realistic flight model, that is to say that the ships will not fly like jet planes, but they will actually obey the laws of Newtonian physics. In order to go in another direction, you will need to slow down to a stop and then go in the direction that you want to move. Ensure this will be accomplished by a kind of reaction control system autopilot that attempts to keep you moving in the direction you are pointing. The site-added Terminus should be the first of a series of sims that will encourage L33 skills to master. Support for Terminus has long since ended. Although the game is still licensed by Vicarious Visions, the source code was licensed to the owner of the Terminus website to allow continued development of the game, and thus has been improved and enhanced. Although the client files are still available at the Terminus website, the project has seemingly been abandoned. Reception. At the time of its release, the game received above-average reviews on both platforms according to the review aggregation website Game Rankings. PC Zone said, overall, while not as flashy as other recent space sims, Terminus has lots of substance that packs so much into the game. GameSpy said, with Terminus, Vicarious Visions has raised the bar of excellence within 3 simultaneous genres, but couldn't quite glue all the pieces together into a cohesive whole. Gamers Pulse said, in the end, Terminus failed to truly excite me. That's not to say that the game isn't fun to play, it does offer a good time to the pilot within us all. Computer Game Strategy Plus said, when everything is said and done, Terminus comes out looking and feeling good. GameSpot wrote, Terminus offers flawed but nonetheless decent space combat action, along with an impressive online play feature. The game ought to be appealing on account of this and its cross-platform compatibility, but its glitches and general lack of polish considerably diminish its overall quality. Mac Addict called it an intermittently fantastic game that should appeal to flight sim jockeys, hardcore sci-fi fans, and anyone who's ever wanted to wield 2 joysticks.